All right, welcome back to our self upgrade series, which is a build up on our last podcast where I had talked about how you can become a better version of yourself. Where we say, think of yourself as a machine, and then you want to upgrade this machine. And I highlighted three areas or three ways that you can upgrade yourself to improve your productivity. And they were one is smarter, one is faster, and one is happier. So, how you become a smarter version of yourself, a faster version of yourself, and a happier version of yourself. The three areas that will actually tell on almost everything you are doing in terms of self mastery and optimization. And in this particular episode, I want to just focus on what it means to become a smarter version of yourself and how you can make that upgrade possible. And I want to start by talking about the human brain, which is where our thinking faculty comes from. The brain is more like the data center of your person, of who you are. And it's this part of your body that actually stores billions and billions of data points from which it searches whenever you need to make a decision. So if you have to make a decision, you want to answer a question, you want to solve a problem, what happens is that the brain goes back to its database and checks, do I have data to make this decision, to answer this question, or to solve this problem? Now, these things happen on the background and you're not even aware of them. The whole process in which the brain captures data, stores it, retrieves it, just like a computer, right? It's almost invisible, subconscious. It doesn't need your permission. Whether you are aware or not, your brain is collecting data, your brain is storing data, your brain is every second that activity is happening in thousands or tens of thousands of or hundreds. I mean, without your permission, you'll be amazed at how many things are in your brain right now that you don't even know are there. They are lying somewhere. There's a data center somewhere that you don't even know that they are there. Okay, let me give you an example. Have you ever heard a song? There's somebody just started singing a song. It's a song you've not played in maybe 10, 15 years. Maybe since you were a child, you never heard that song. But as soon as someone began to sing it, you recall every word of the song. You're like, oh yeah, I know that song. And you can join the person singing in your mind. This was a song that in decades you've not heard, you've not played, but somehow it was there. In fact, you may not have ever thought of that song. Right now, there are songs in your brain that all I need to do to wake it up is just to start singing, and you're like, oh yeah, I know that song. I was a child when I learned that song. Now, that's the power of the database of your brain. It stores information in places you are not aware of. Let me give you another example. Talk about face recognition. When you meet people, even when you just pass them randomly on the street without even talking to them, without even having a conversation, your brain is capturing images of them and storing them. As you are driving past a street, as you are traveling, your brain is capturing the environment. That's why you can find yourself in a place and you are like, I think I know this place. I've been here before. When you were passing, you didn't know your brain was storing it, your was recording it. But it's like your eye is the camera, your brain is the hard drive. You're capturing data, capturing information. So when you meet people, your brain captures their face and stores in your database. Initially, it just stores their faces. But maybe after a while, when you get to meet with them and you talk with them, it now begins to update that data. So it attaches a name to a face, or a profession to this face, and whatever the person does, oh, this is David, oh, this is Daniel, oh, this is Yusuf, this is Adeola, this is Nena. It begins to attach names to faces. So when you see that person again, what happens is that your brain goes to database, searches that image, pulls out every information that it has stored against that person's name, and it says, oh, that's why you're able to recognize people and know their names. And say, oh, hi, David, because as soon as you saw the person, your brain went into search and recover mode, found the person's name, found, in fact, in some cases, it stored details of your last conversation without you knowing. All these things are happening in your mind. Now, don't forget, we're talking about becoming smarter, and I'm trying to just show you the process, but it's important that I lay this foundation. And that's why when there's a missing information, your brain is lost and is saying, I know this person's face, but I'm not sure. Have I met this person before? Because the first time you met that person, you could have seen the person. Maybe it was on TV, maybe it's in the magazine. Your mind stored that information. And you're like, I know this person, but I'm trying to remember where I know the person. I'm trying to pull. Your brain is doing a search, but there's not enough metadata to pull out and remind yourself of who this person was. So it just knows that there's a familiarity somewhere. Now, at that point, your brain does not have enough decision or enough data to make that decision. I'm just trying to show you how your mind works as we talk about becoming smarter. Now, this thing I just described of going to database, pulling out information and trying to match data in your mind, it happens all day long. You spend your entire day making decisions. In fact, science tells us that as humans, we make about 35,000 decisions every day consciously. Conscious data. From the moment you wake up, your brain starts making decisions. Oh, should I get up now? Should I turn off the alarm? Or should I go and run? Should I do push-ups in my room? What kind of exercise should I do? Should I pick up my phone and check my status? Should I check my WhatsApp? Should I check Facebook? Should I work from home today? I mean, it's just from when you open your eyes in the morning, your brain goes into decision making mode. What should I eat for breakfast today? What should I wear? As I'm driving to work, what route should I take? Should I take the left or the right? Man, there are probably three roads. Should I call this person? Should I wait till later? Your brain spends the entire day, even before you get to work. What you call work? What you call before you start working, your brain has been working and has made a lot of decisions, and you've in your mind you've not started work. And so, because of this, there are two very important concepts here. Two very important concepts I want to explain to you. One is the fact that because your brain is making a lot of decisions, your brain can get tired. Because this brain is like a computer, it does not have indefinite computing power. The capacity of your brain to make decisions is limited. There's just a number of decisions that you can make, and the more decisions you make, the more it wears the brain out. It's called decision fatigue. Just the way when you do exercise your muscles get tired, when you make decisions your brain gets tired, it begins to lose power, lose energy, and so you find yourself becoming tired. Like I said, it's called decision fatigue. And when the brain gets tired, it begins to conserve energy either by making impulsive decisions or by trying to avoid making decisions altogether. So you find yourself where a decision is required of you, but your mind is tired. You're like, whoa, 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 don't disturb me. I don't want that problem now. You just avoid making that decision. That is a sign that you are experiencing decision fatigue. And some symptoms of decision fatigue is that you begin to feel tired, low self-control, low willpower. Things that you can on a normal day, if they call you and say, what should we do? You know what to tell them, do this, do this, do that. But there are times they call you and you're like, please, can you take that to somebody else? Let somebody else decide on that. I don't want to make that decision because your brain is tired. Now, sometimes when you don't act or when you don't decide, it is not because the brain does not have the capacity to make that decision or to make good judgment. It's simply that you are not in the best position to make that decision at the moment. Now, this is the first point here. Part of becoming a smarter version of yourself involves preserving brain power to be able to make the important decisions in your life that need to be made. Because if all the important decisions get to you at a point where you are already fatigued, you will consistently make bad judgments, consistently make bad decisions, even if you have the capacity to make that decision. That's why sometimes when you are tired, somebody you know can pass you by and you don't recognize the person because that energy to go and search database and bring the face and match the name, your brain no get time. You're like, whoa, just be going. That's why you can be walking and somebody will greet you. You won't even hear the greeting because you are experiencing decision fatigue. Now, I'm going to share with you some ways that you can actually deal with that. But like I said, there are two concepts. Number one concept is that your brain is not infinite. The power in your brain is not endless. It can get tired. That's one. Number two is that your brain can only make decisions based on available data. This is important to understand. Every time you need to make a decision, what happens is your brain goes to that database, looks for the data with which to make that decision. So if I ask you now, I said, who is the president of Pakistan? Mhm. Question: who is the Pakistani president? As you heard this question now, whether you are aware or not, your brain went to start checking. Do I know? Do I have this data? Have I seen this anywhere? Have I stored this information anywhere? Did I listen to a news? Did I listen to watch TV? Did I read a magazine where they mentioned the guy, Pakistani president? Did they mention his name? Your brain is doing a search in your database. If you've ever come across his name somewhere, That means it's stored somewhere. I can guarantee you your brain will pull it out. Because if I ask you now, who was the former president of America? You know, you just answered it in your brain because that information was there. Who is the current governor of your state? You know, because that information is in your brain. So there is that database that every time a question is asked, you just go and check. Your brain might have stored it. In fact, when the brain stored that information, you didn't know you were storing data. You didn't, were not aware. But the day you needed it, or the day you need it, it will simply go there and pull it out. That's why when we're in school and we have exams, what do? We read. Why are we reading? We are just storing data in our brain because you know that we don't know what question will be asked in the exam hall. But at least let me put enough data so that when they ask a question, my brain can go and check among all the things I have read, whether it can find the answer there. Once you've read well and widely, it does not matter where the question comes from, you have the answer for it. And that's what it is with life. And if you have not read, forget it. They'll ask you a question. That's why I see people blank in the exam hall because the brain is searching, but the hard drive is empty. And it's the same with life. When we need to make decisions about anything, business, ministry, finance, family, whatever, the brain simply checks, do I have the data to enable me make this decision? If the brain finds the data, that means the data was previously stored in your brain, then you will make a decision. That's what we call an informed decision. Yet informed because it simply means that that decision you are making is driven by information that you have. If there is no data in your brain, you can still respond to the situation. But at this point, you are making an uninformed decision. There's nothing driving that decision. There's nothing powering that decision. It's a guesswork. You're just trying to, or you're trying to apply another data to answer another question. So if I tell you who is the Pakistani president, because you can't find it, you found India president. You just go and call the name of the Indian president. That is an uninformed decision. You are picking available data to respond to an available problem. And that's why we make bad decisions. That's why we make poor decisions. That's why we make unsmart decisions. Actually, that is the meaning of not being smart. Not being smart simply means you don't have the data to make the necessary decisions that come across to you in the everyday process of your life. And so every time you have data, you make good judgments. When you don't have data, you make bad judgments. Now, when you don't have the information in your brain, there's also a third option you can do. You can go to third parties and say, okay, who has the information that I need to make this decision? So that's what we call seeking counsel or advice. You need to make a decision. You scan your own brain. That information is not your data. You now go to a professional in that space who you are convinced has the data to help you make that decision. And this is basically what advisors do, consultants do, mentors do. That's basically why we have them around us. So that when we need to make decisions that we are not equipped for or we don't have the data for, we go to them. And usually you end up paying for those kind of services. You pay for that data because they have the data. Now, when I say you pay, whether you are paying with money or with relationship or with time. Every time you need to make a decision that you don't have the data for and you don't want to make a wrong decision, you have to pay. If it's a consultant you go to, you pay consultation fees. That's why you pay when you go to see a doctor. Your child is sick, you go to see a doctor, and you want him to tell you what is wrong with your child. You saw the same symptoms. You could not tell what it is. This child has this rash on the body, but you cannot explain that rash. You don't have the data to judge what this rash is on the body. You go see a consultant who knows it, and he tells you, oh, this is what is wrong with your child. Buy this medicine, buy this drug. You paid money. You simply paid him for data in his brain. If you're not paying with money for consultants, you're paying with relationships. So you can call a friend, you can call somebody, a parent, or somebody, a neighbor, and say, oh, you know this thing, you are good with cars. My car is not starting. This is the sound it is making. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Or they tell you, okay, you know what? Can't help you. Go and pay a professional. You go to a mechanic. You're paying for data. Information in their brain. They know what is wrong with your car and they can fix it for you. Or sometimes you don't have anybody to pay. You have to pay with time by you going to look for the information. Whether you go online or you go and read a book, the time you should have spent moving on, now you are paying to get data. I hope you're getting the point here. I'm talking about becoming smarter. So basically, smartness has to do with getting the right sets of data to make the right decisions with. You have to get help. And let me just also add here that sometimes as people of faith, we also are able to connect to an external internet server called the Holy Spirit. So when I have scanned my own data, my own brain, the data is not there. I have Wi-Fi that connects to another server, like the internet. So I could, like, more like asking Chat GPT or going to Google. But in this case, this is another Google. I say, okay, Holy Spirit, what do I do? I don't have the data. Of course, the Holy Spirit has all the data for every decision. And if you have access to that data, you have connecting capacity. I mean, not everybody has access. So there's a passcode, there's there's Bluetooth that will either not connect or will connect. If your Bluetooth is connected, you know what I mean by that. If your Bluetooth can connect to the Holy Spirit server, you can access information. But coming back to you, that is really what happens in the everyday decisions or the everyday of your life. You're making decisions based on data you have or data you don't have. If you don't have data, you're making wrong choices. You have data, you're making right and good choices. Now, how do you become smarter? Two ways simply. Two ways based on what I've talked about. Number one, minimize brain fatigue. Because even if you have the data in your brain, if you are fatigued and you've made too many decisions for the day, when it's time to make the important decisions of your day, you no longer have the mental capacity to do so. So you either increase your brain power or you reduce the amount of power spent on unimportant decisions. Yes, many decisions that we make are not necessary. So, to conserve brain power, you can minimize decisions or you can increase brain power. If your brain currently has the capacity to make only 20,000 decisions in a day, ask yourself biologically, medically, what can I do? That's where things like exercise comes in, diet comes in, because the hungrier you are, the less your brain power. So when you eat well, you eat healthy, you eat balanced diet, you are giving your brain more power to make decisions. So diet is an important element of smartness. Exercise, being alert, being sharp in mind is an important part of being smart. So when you ignore the physical part, say, okay, well, what I eat does not matter, whether I do workout, whether I do, you're just simply lowering your brain power, or you position yourself to get fatigued faster. So, but that's just one part of it. Whether getting your brain to be in a position where it is always able, available, and has the capacity to make decisions. That's the first part of being smart. But the second part of being smart is acquiring more information. That's increasing your brain data, acquiring more information that will be available for your brain to make decisions with. Fill up your database consistently so that as new challenges come your way, as new problems come your way, whenever your brain checks, there's always data to answer those questions. There's always data to make decisions with. Those are the two basic ways of becoming smarter. It's not rocket science, it's very simple. I mean, this is something you can do to yourself. Every one of us can do this to ourselves. And it's whether we are conscious or unconscious, we are doing these things. So, first, how do you minimize brain fatigue? Like I said, reduce the number of these unimportant decisions you make every day. Because your brain is not finite, you have to make your best decisions with your most strength. Now, why do I have these three guys on the screen? Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates. Have you seen these guys? At the peak of their career, there's something that they all had in common. This is how they all looked. Mark was always wearing that ash t-shirt. Steve was always wearing that black shirt and blue jeans. Bill wasn't wearing the same color but had the same outfit, a shirt and a sweater. Why do you think these guys were doing this? And I have studied this. There's a science behind it. They are simply trying to eliminate or reduce the number of decisions that they make daily. In the morning, when they wake up, they don't want to spend brain power thinking of what to wear or how to look. So they chose a standard look. Just wake up by default, pull a shirt, pull a trouser, wear it, and go. Save your brain energy to make the important decisions of the day. Not in the morning, you're like, should I wear yellow? Should I match it with pink? What shoe should I wear? All of that. You're consuming brain power, guys. Now, this is seasonal because at some point in their life they change, but just is to understand what season you are in and ask yourself, how do I optimize my brain? For some of you, it is breakfast. What to eat every morning is consuming energy. Go and check it. Successful people have routine breakfast. They eat almost the same thing every morning. They just find cereal or whatever. They make sure it's healthy. They make sure it has all the nutrients they need for the day, and they just put it on auto repeat. So wake up in the morning, you just see them, they grab milk, put cereal, put this, and they've had breakfast because they are saving mental energy for important decisions. So you can either um, put this decision on auto repeat or you can outsource it. Outsource it means automate it, give it to AI, give it to it an app, give it to something, or find someone else to do it for you. Hire a driver, hire a cook, hire a chef, hire a cleaner. The things that waste your time making decisions, unnecessary decisions that consume your energy, outsource it. But you see, that's passive activity. The main activity of becoming smarter, it's, I mean, this is just first of all to avoid what drains your brain time. But this is where it now becomes active. Active is how do you increase your brain's data? And it's very simple, guys. You already saw this coming. Keep learning. Give your brain more data from which to make informed decisions. You will be smarter in every situation you find yourself. When somebody met you yesterday and asked you one question and you did not have the answer, if your brain has increased data, by the time they meet you in 1 week's time, you have the answer. You are now smarter than you were last week. You cannot do what you don't know how to do. You will be the same person in December if no new information goes into your mind that enables you to make different decisions. You'll be making the same judgments you were making 2 years ago, 3 years ago, if you don't acquire new knowledge. The brain cannot make decisions unless the information is there. Don't get too carried away doing with activity, running your business, that you stop learning. It is your learning that makes you to become a better version of yourself, that can position you to either increase the capacity of what you are doing, scale it, make it bigger. There are rooms you cannot enter now because you don't have the information necessary to open those doors or to keep those doors open. Even if God takes you in there by favor, the knowledge to keep you there by results you do not have. What brought you here cannot take you to your next point or your next level. So the day you stop learning is the day you put a seal on your growth. The day you say, okay, this is my final bus stop. The day you stop learning, nothing new can happen in your life after that day. The only thing that beats smartness is learning. Because the more you learn, the smarter you become. You need to be able to make informed decisions every single day. So invest in knowledge. The Bible says, buy the truth and don't sell it. Proverbs 23:23. So what do? Read books, read on new subjects, read wide, acquire new books. Don't say, I have read, I have read. You have read up to this point, but you don't have the knowledge to go beyond this point. Don't wait until you need knowledge before you go for it. Knowledge is most valuable when you have it before you need it. Every time you need knowledge before going to get it, you waste time or you lose opportunities, because the decision you need to make is not waiting for you. The opportunity is not waiting for you. By the time you have to go and spend time to acquire the knowledge, the opportunity may have passed. Think of this. You want to do CPR, that thing you do to revive people whose heart is getting is failing. Imagine that is when your friend or someone beside you is having heart failure, that you want to now go and Google how to do CPR. Before you check it out, the person has died. So you need to have had that information before you need it. So acquire. Don't say I don't need this. You will need it. It is, if you may not need it to solve a problem, but you may need it to access a new level of new access new opportunities. Listen to intelligent conversations. That's one way to increase your knowledge and increase what you know. Put yourself in the places where they are discussing intelligent things. Look for podcast talks, listen to watch videos, attend seminars, symposiums, indabas, places where they are talking sense, intelligence. Put yourself there. Normalize putting yourself in rooms where you're not the smartest person. Because every time you are the smartest person in the room, you do the talking. And when you do the talking, you drain. But when you do the listening, you grow, you learn. So when you find yourself in some of those rooms where everybody is smarter than you, shut up and listen. You'll come out smarter. There are places you enter, you don't need to prove that you know anything. Just keep quiet and just listen, because people are saying things. Even if, yes, there are areas you have knowledge that more than them. But once you find that these guys know something I don't know, just listen. Keep quiet. Take it in. Take it in. When you leave that room, your brain has way more data than you stepped in with. Attend workshops, put yourself out there, go to places where they are saying things. Sometimes you just see a webinar, you're like, interesting webinar. They're talking cryptocurrency, this crypto itself, I don't know anything about it. Just attend one webinar, let them just talk, just listen to them. I'm not saying you will go and buy crypto after that day, but you can't be a novice, you can't be ignorant of some of the things happening in our generation today. Put yourself out there, learn. You will become smarter. You may not apply it to your immediate self, but you will be able to apply it to something that will solve a problem for you. This is the primary way or the primary tool that we make ourselves smarter. So if I ask you, are you smarter today than you were last year? Are you smarter today than you were 2 years ago? The answer has to be yes. Otherwise, it means that you have stopped growing, because you can't grow if you're not smarter. Oh, yeah. Have you stopped going to school? Have you stopped reading books? Have you stopped? Some of us get to a point and we plateau because we feel, we have arrived. I've gotten better than everybody. Remember, I talked about the illusion of speed. Don't judge yourself by how fast others are moving. Judge yourself by what is available to you as a potential. So keep learning. Now, let me give you some practical things you can do, very practical, so that this doesn't end in just me telling you aspire to aspire, go and learn. Here are some practical help. There's an app called Headway app. You can go to the Play Store, the Apple Store, any of the stores. This app helps you summarize any book into 15 minutes audio. I have the app on my phone. There are thousands and thousands of books there. The book that should take you maybe 2 to 3 weeks to read, they've read it and they've summarized the core points and turned it to audio. In 15 minutes, you can finish having the core knowledge in a book. Now, does this replace reading the book? Maybe not. It's not maybe the same as reading the book, but there are books that I will never have time to read, but I want to know what is in this book. Headway. So you can listen to them in your morning run, while doing your workout, while commuting to work. You can set the area you want to grow in and to recommend books for you. It doesn't have to be the normal books that you know. Just read books in different areas and you'll be amazed how smarter you become every day for 15 minutes. Go to the app, download it, do the premium. I mean, if you are listening to me, if you're in this program, you can afford the premium. I pay for it every year. And it's not one money that can break the bank. You can afford it. That is the price you pay for knowledge. You will become smarter. There are books I have. Sometimes I want to just get the juice of the book. I have the physical book, but I go to Headway and say, please, just do the audio of this book. And in 15, 20 minutes, but sometimes 13 minutes, 17 minutes, you have an entire summary of a book. Second thing is, TED Talks are an amazing place where the most brilliant minds in the world come to talk. I don't know how we miss that, but try listening to one TED Talk a week on different subjects. I can tell you, you will be smarter. The amount of wisdom and intelligence in TED Talks is alarming sometimes. I mean, I'm doing a program in school and my professor sends us one TED Talk every week to listen to, and I'm just imagining how much I mean, all this is, and they're available on YouTube for free. I'm like, so if this woman didn't send this to me, how would I have known that this thing exists? You hear something on negotiation, you hear something, I mean, different subjects, the best of the best in the world get to TED stages around the world and speak in 15, 20 minutes, very few minutes, just normalize, make it a habit to listen to at least one every week, and then go find podcasts on different areas. Just go to your podcast app. There are many of them: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, so many of them. You will find podcasts in the areas of your interest. How I built this talks about different companies, where they interview the founders of different companies, talking about how they built their companies. You're building a business, find people in logistics, find people in that area of business, and hear them talk about how they built this. You'll be amazed what you will learn. Guys, the summary is this: if you're going to become smarter, you need to have more data in your brain with which to make decisions. And I hope that this helps you to become a smarter version of yourself. Do something. Tell us what you're going to do. Tell us, have you downloaded the app? Have you decided to listen to TED Talks? Do you need advice on what area to look at, what to find, what podcast to listen to? Ask on the community. We'll answer you, we'll help you. That's why we're there. So let's find a way to each get on a journey of becoming smarter. Remember, there are three things: one, become smarter; two, become faster; and three, become happier. Start becoming smarter, and automatically an upgrade has started happening in your life. All right, so I'll see you in the next material. But for now, go and start getting smarter.